Hey folks, Adam here,
And I'm Amy.
and we're gonna give you your tips that you need to know before traveling to Japan. And Amy's gonna go over first kind of a summary or a list of what we're gonna talk about. Then we're gonna give you some fantastic tips about Japan.
So this is going to probably be applicable to a lot of your Japan travel, but specifically if you are traveling to Tokyo, we are going to discuss what you do when you get to the airport, how to get around town, how to use their metro system, how to exchange your money, how to translate things, how to get around, how
cash.
to get your cell phone service, where to put your trash, how to check into your hotel, where you can sleep, everything about your electricity, your drinking water, tipping culture, where to grab breakfast, the hours that the metro runs, and everything about updated mask and COVID protocols.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and kick it off
Right about now.
right about now. So first and foremost, what topic do we have?
So you are probably, if you're an international flight, you're going to fly into Narita Airport. Narita Airport is closest to Tokyo. However, it is still about an hour and a half on your speedy light rail system. So you are going to have to find a way to get from the airport in Narita to your hotel in Tokyo. And we're going to tell you the best ways to do that.
Okay. And a lot of times, for a lot of people, you're going to come into Tokyo after a long flight. If you're coming from the United States, you're probably coming from somewhere in California, San Jose, San Francisco, LA. You're going to come in, maybe even from Hawaii, wherever you're coming from in the world, because I know 70% of our viewers are not from the United States. But if you're coming from an international flight, it's probably Narita, and you're probably going to have a long day of travel. So you do have to make that decision in advance whether or not you're going to sleep kind of in the airport area or make it all the way to your final destination, which is probably another city. For this example, we're gonna use Tokyo, but it's applicable information no matter where you're going. So we've considered it. There are sleeping pods that you can rent by the hour in the Tokyo airport. Really a fantastic option.
Super smart.
We haven't done that. It's really straightforward though, just pay a certain amount. It's actually relatively cheap and you can sleep for a couple hours. If you're really tired, consider doing that. You can also consider the Narita Airport Hotel, which is a short shuttle transfer. Now, just so you know, there's nothing in the Narita area. You're not arriving in a big city. You're out kind of in a wooded area, not real busy. And there's one hotel that isn't the nicest hotel, but it's fine.
We've stayed there.
Yeah.
It was fine, perfectly adequate. However, it's definitely not a destination you want to stay out for a long time. The food is
There's
just
not much to
okay,
see.
and there's really not much other than
It's a
your
basic hotel.
hotel restaurant. There's not much to do.
So whether or not you spend the night, the next thing you're gonna do is get on that transfer to your city, your destination. In this case, we're gonna give you the example, Tokyo. And what do you need to do to get all the cards, to get all the transfers, to get what you need to do to set your phone up?
So I will start by saying that of course you can take your private shuttle transportation or Uber, or Japan uses an app called Go, which is the equivalent of Uber. You can do those things from the airport. However, it's going to cost you probably $250 and up, so quite expensive.
If you want to take a taxi into the city.
It will take you longer to get there than taking the metro system. So I highly suggest taking the Narita Express line. It's going to be super simple to do. What you're going to do is go into your iPhone, go to wallet,
Or your whatever phone.
go into your wallet, go into transit, scroll down to Japan, and then it's called SUICA. Sukiya. I'm not exactly sure if I'm saying it correctly, but Sukiya, you can load that with money from Apple Pay. It automatically converts your dollars into yen. It's super simple, and you'll be able to actually use your phone as contactless entry to scan your phone as entry into the subway and use it as your Metro Pass.
It'll work just
smart
like
and
tap
simple.
to pay, and it's available with Android or Apple, so no problem there. Now, people are going to ask you, but Amy, what do I do to get internet access when I first land?
So, a couple different options. Again, in the Narita airport, you will see a lot of different kiosks. There are going to be kind of like vending machines that will say SIM on them, and you can get a physical SIM card or an eSIM depending on what your phone requires. These will, it depends on the data you get and the minutes you get and all of that kind of different stuff on the exact prices. It probably will end up being slightly cheaper than your, in our case, Verizon's international plan. However, for ease and convenience, we looked at the eSIM prices. We looked and realized that we were going to be traveling for quite a while, and our Verizon cell phone carriers offer an international monthly plan for $100, and we knew that we were going to Japan, we were going to Thailand. Instead of getting multiple different SIM cards, we just used that, and we were very, very happy with the service that we got in Japan. We had lightning fast internet the entire time, and we're able to use our cell phones just like completely normal, which saves you a lot of stress if you're in a foreign country and you just automatically have your phone working immediately, and you've got Google Maps and you've got your Metro card and you've got everything working.
Yeah, for $100 a month or $10 a day, you could do it by the day or by the month.
Right.
It wound up being easier for us to stick with our international plan on our cell phone provider, although we probably would have saved a little bit of money switching over to an e-card, which are available in the airport, and they'll help you transfer that over.
So you're using your internet, you will be able to put everything into Google Maps. Like I suggest, put your hotel where you're going to, and Google Maps will actually give you exactly which metro line you should use in Tokyo. It will tell you the colors, exactly where to go. I mean, really, really clear walking instructions. It will give you the prices, the times, just all the data that you could possibly need in real time. So that's really, really fantastic. I definitely suggest using your Google Maps there, and it will make your life a lot easier.
Okay, now when you said we'll tell you the colors, can you explain that first?
So there are different colors to different lines. I know that there's
Train
a blue
lines.
line and a red line, and it will...
The train will actually be that color. The floor around it will be that color. So if you're in the red area, you're in the right area. If you're in the green area, you're in the right area.
It's really, really easy. It's a good system. It's self-explanatory. I think the only tricky thing that we encountered in trying to use the Metro, and this is a piece of advice that I wish that I had heard on YouTube when we had really researched this, and I thought I had all my information, and this is the one little nugget that spun me out. I had my Sukiya all ready to go on my phone. I tapped to get into the Metro. I was ready, I was on the way. I knew that we needed the Narita Express line. It was red, we found the train, it was on time, everything was good. However, we got on the train and realized that just for the express lines,
just the express line, kind of the non-stop to the big city.
Pretty much only the ones that are going super fast from the airport to the big city actually require you to get a ticketed seat, unlike your other stops in the Metro. So we did run into kind of
we were sitting in someone's seat.
Train guy coming over to us and saying, hey, you don't have a ticket, what is wrong with you? They were very nice.
Sweet.
And all we had to do is actually just again use our same Sukiya app to pay the extra express ticket. But we did learn that for those express lines, you do want to go to a kiosk and actually put your credit card in and pay, pick out your seat, pick out your exact seat, and get your physical ticket.
Okay. Now, a couple other tips about the Metro, the train that takes you into the big cities. First off, it's very traditional and customary for people who are working in the day to sleep on the train. Just very acceptable. So you're gonna see some people nodding off. It's kind of a sign that I put in a hard day's work and now I'm gonna sleep on the train on the way home, get an hour or two in, because some people have a very long commute. Get your time in. With that being said, it's also customary for you not to talk. You should whisper, whether you're at breakfast or whether you're on a train. Whispering is acceptable. The only time we heard people talking fully and loud on the train was foreigners. People are ultimately very, very quiet on the train.
Very quiet.
They're very
and
respectful
in public spaces.
And you shouldn't eat on the train. In fact, the trains are immaculately clean, And after like they run a full route, they stop and they wipe everything down and they clean it for real. Like they'll take 15, 20 minutes on a car and they'll have people wiping everything down. So be very respectful of that. You know, if you're on a train that's nobody's eating, nobody's talking above a whisper, and it's very clean, don't come in there loud and bodacious eating your Doritos. Be respectful of the local
Playing
environment.
your music. No,
Yeah.
no, no. So, if you are taking the metro, you might ask, what do I do with all of my suitcases? Especially if you were spending, a few weeks in Asia. Maybe you have 2 big suitcases
What do
or
you
something.
do?
What do you do?
What do you do? You can't take these giant suitcases on a small train.
So, you can probably get away with a medium-sized bag, and depending on your ability to take that through the streets of Tokyo, maybe you want to do that or maybe you don't. However, there is an easier way, and a very, very common way to do that is to actually have a courier from the airport take your luggage for you from the airport to your hotel room. It's easy, it's seamless. It seemed a little almost strange to us at first, like, oh, I'm just gonna give
courier.
I'm gonna
Give my luggage to some dude.
everything I have in this foreign country. I'm gonna give to this person, and they say that it will arrive sometime tomorrow. It seems a little weird.
If it's early in the day, it's same day.
But don't worry, it all works out. It's a nominal fee, and you'll see a lot of these couriers at the airport. It all makes sense. Kind of what you said, the flow is there. You pick up your baggage, and then you'll kind of see some kiosks that seem to be taking luggage away. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And the one that we use is actually called Black Cat, and we saw them all throughout Tokyo. They're a very large brand.
Okay. So if you think about it, you're gonna land, you're gonna go through customs, you're gonna walk kind of, there's gonna be some escalators and some people movers. You're gonna get down to kind of the ground floor of the airport, and you're gonna be at baggage claim. You actually pass a real fun Nintendo welcome center. You're in baggage claim. You get your baggage, and you're on a vacation, so you might have 2 big bags. And it seems like in the United States, you throw them in a car, you throw them in a cab, you go where you need to go. But if you're taking a train to the city, once you get from the train, then you may be hauling your luggage another half mile to your hotel. And the train isn't necessarily equipped for luggage, it's more for commuters. So it could be very inconvenient to try to be lugging when you don't know where you're going in a major city, 2 big bags through the city, through the snow, Lord knows what.
Crowded, often rainy.
So when you're at the baggage carousel, you get your stuff, and you look over to the right, most likely, could be the left, but in our case it was the right. There was a place, and it was the Black Cat, and you go to her, you go to the lady there, you fill out your information, and they're like, oh, okay, you're going to XYZ Hotel? All right, our last courier's left for the night, it'll be there in the morning, or it'll be there in 3 hours. So it's just a very convenient way to spend, say, $20 to have your baggage brought to you.
Right.
Very commonplace. People would look at you a little side-eyed if you didn't do that, I think.
Right, if you're trying to take all of your stuff through Tokyo.
Just use the courier to take your luggage to your hotel. If you're just spending the night at the airport hotel, you're probably fine. But if you're going 2-3 hours by train, have the courier do it.
That being said, it is smart, like if you have a carry-on bag, to hurry up and put your winter jacket, your toothbrush, whatever you might need in the first few hours.
Yeah, have that ready to go. I know when we got there, at first we're like, okay, here's our luggage. And then we're like, no, we probably want our jacket and our toothbrush and a few other little things. We actually had like a bag of food or whatever, like some snacks for the next couple hours on our way there.
One thing also to note is that English language proficiency in Japan is not crazy high. So if you are trying to communicate, it's very polite to just assume that English is probably not spoken that well. Try to speak slowly, try to speak clearly. And if someone doesn't speak English at all, it's very helpful to have Google Translate downloaded on your phone. And you can even download the entire Japanese language for offline use. That way you'll be able to use your phone to take a picture of a menu and have it translate for you. Take a picture of maybe the nutritional information on a snack you're looking at the gas station, any signage, and even if you need to communicate more with, say, the clerk at the store or your taxi driver, you can write out what you want and have Google Translate that for you.
The other thing about when you're at the airport, if you feel more comfortable having some Japanese currency, some yen on you, you can go to an ATM. It may sound funny, but a lot of people recommend going to the ATM at the 7-Eleven. They seem to work real well. You'll get a good exchange rate. You don't have to pay the transfer fees and all that like you would with a currency converter. And just take out, whether it's $20, $100, just to have some cash on you. We felt we didn't need a lot of cash on us. We were able to use our credit card just about everywhere, but we did get some cash out of the ATM that night, later that night at a 7-Eleven. The reason I say 7-Eleven, I don't know if you know this, but 7-Eleven is headquartered in Japan. They're very common. There's about 3,000 7-Elevens in Tokyo alone, 20,000 in the country, and 30% of the 7-Elevens are in that country. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in a moment, but it's a very common and very convenient situation, and they're actually much nicer than the ones near my house.
Yes.
Much nicer.
So I do think while there are a lot of different places, whether it's at the airport, which has notoriously high exchange rates, or maybe a local bank or wherever it might be, you can of course exchange your yen, but I prefer just going to 7-Eleven. I think that is the quickest, easiest, most convenient and safe way for travelers. And I would say it wasn't an imperative for us to have cash immediately because, again, credit cards, but there are a lot of restaurants that you may want to try and smaller shops that only accept cash in Japan. So don't miss out on some of the really incredible kind of like smaller mom and pop ramen shops because you didn't bring any yen. So just go to 7-Eleven and make sure you have that on.
And it's funny, you're not gonna have a hard time finding a 7-Eleven. There's probably a couple in the airport, a couple in the metro, and with thousands of them in the city itself, you can't hit a major street without being like, there's a 7-Eleven and there's one across the street. And there are some conveniences. They are actually organized and set up with tourism in mind, so when you go there, they'll have you covered.
Yes.
They're not sponsoring us. They should.
We have heard this tip before, and it is true. There are pretty much no public trash cans in Tokyo and in Japan in general. Some very bad things that I don't want to talk about. I feel like it's a landmine of words.
Demonetization words, right?
Demonetization words. But some very unfortunate things happened with trash cans in Japan. They don't have them anymore. And in general, just obviously there's no litter there either. It's absolutely pristine and beautiful. Don't be the litter bug that comes.
You're expected to carry your trash home. So if you buy something, you eat something on the street, stuff it in your pocket, have a bag with you, carry it with you. There's no trash cans to be found currently in Tokyo. 10 years ago there were some, maybe 20 years ago. They've got rid of them and they are not planning to bring them back.
So it's a good thing, like I said, like you were saying, like maybe carry a plastic bag with you or something like that to where okay, if I didn't finish all of my street food or have a wrapper or something like that, I have a place to put it and plan on keeping that trash with you until you get home.
Yeah. And the streets, every night, they have a crew that comes out and cleans the streets, but for all intents and purposes, there's not trash and litter to be found, and it's a wonderful environment, frankly.
So another thing that you might notice when you get to your hotel in Tokyo is it's pretty common to have contactless check-in.
Yeah.
This is a city, Tokyo's on another level.
It's a city run by robots.
They really do have robots running a lot of things, whether it's the check-in at your restaurant or your hotel or whatever it might be.
And it'll be a kiosk most likely, but
most
sometimes
likely
decorated like a little robot.
Right. But most likely you will be expected to check in on your own, scan your passport, scan your ID, fill out your information, all that kind of good stuff. And it might even give you your key card and you never even talk to a person.
Yeah. And a lot of people will tell you to keep your passport on you when you're traveling. A lot of times we locked it up in the safe in our hotel, but realistically, if you want to be most safe, if you get asked a question by the police, you should have that on you. If you're buying a more expensive item while you're in Tokyo, to avoid paying the local tax, you can show your passport and then you just have to pay your tax through customs. So consider keeping your passport on you at all times, and you will need it to check into any hotel. In most of Asia, if you're checking into a hotel, they're going to ask to see your passport.
Absolutely. also in your hotel and in buildings in general, shoes off. In Asia, I love that rule. I'm a shoes off in the house person anyway, so I really appreciate that. I like that about Japan, but it's even to the degree that it's expected in your hotel rooms. And in your hotel rooms, every hotel that we had we got complimentary slippers there. So you come in, you take your shoes off, you have your slippers for inside your hotel room. Don't check your dirty feet in.
So Amy picked us up last time we were there, one of the nicest hotels in Shibuya, Japan. Really gorgeous location. But it was still fairly utilitarian. It's funny, when you compare rooms online, you're gonna notice it shows you a bed, some white walls, maybe a mini fridge, and a small TV. It's an environment that's made for being very utility oriented. So don't expect a lavish large room, particularly if you're staying downtown in Tokyo.
Maybe not a lot of character either, you know?
We had a great time, and you actually got us a beautiful hotel, and it was not very expensive. The exchange rate is definitely in your favor if you're coming in from the United States.
It's a great time to travel.
It's a great time to travel. However, they don't have large Vegas-style rooms. You're not going to be able to get some immaculate suite. It's things in the Japanese culture are smaller, more condensed, and work well.
Yes. As far as electricity goes, you don't need to bring an outlet converter with you. Everything works pretty fine there. I did not test any curling irons or anything like that. Maybe heated stuff is slightly different, but I think you should be fine. As well as the drinking water, of course, is great.
I will also vouch for the street food in Japan. I would say that the street food in Japan is going to be more hygienic than the food at restaurants here, in my experience. There's been some times that I've gone to, say, Thailand, other countries, and I've been like, I don't know if I want to eat the street food here. In Japan, they are very much about hygiene and being very hygienic. Mr. Honeycat is saying hi. So it's something where you don't have to worry about that. You can pick up like a falafel or just all sorts. There's wonderful food in Japan. And I can't understate how much I love the food in Japan. There's a variety of food of every type. If you want a hamburger, you can get a hamburger. You want spaghetti, you can get spaghetti. I had some great Vietnamese food 3 times when I was in Japan, and I loved it. You loved getting the ramen, and we got ramen several times. But something you don't have to worry about. There's food for everyone. If you want to go to McDonald's, you can go to McDonald's. If you want fried chicken, you can get fried chicken. Everything is available. Now, it's not a 24/7 service culture in Japan. You can't get everything 24/7. However, bringing us back to 7-Eleven, those 7-Elevens are 24/7. And in Japan, there's a much more, a greater option for warm food, for prepared food ready to go in your 7-Eleven. You can get fried chicken, you can get egg rolls, you can get all sorts of different energy drinks and all sorts of stuff. They had some delicious fresh baked eclairs. There was a lot of stuff in the 7-Eleven. Now I find myself, you go to Japan, there might be a 10-hour time difference. It's what is it? 14 hours. I went the other way. So 14 hours. And it was 12 and then 2. 14-hour time difference. So what might be your dinner time is the middle of the night. For me, every night I was there for the first week, I was searching the streets for food about 3 a.m. Fortunately, the nearby 7-Eleven was ready. Not to promote them too much, but I was so happy.
This video is just an excuse for you to talk about your love of 7-Eleven.
I like food. I'm going to talk about food. My tips here are about food, folks. And I don't want to be jet lagged and hungry and not able to find food, because not only are you tired, but then your stomach is turned upside down. It's a miserable experience. So when I get hungry, it may be 3 a.m., I may be in Germany, I may be in Japan, I'm looking for food. And I want to make sure I have food available. And the nice thing was, you could go out there, make sure you have some food in the room. We went the first night, we got a banh mi from a little Vietnamese place, and I put it in the fridge. So when I woke up at night, I knew I'd have something to eat. I bought it when I wasn't hungry, so I would have it when I'm hungry. Not a bad idea. Have some snacks available, but also know that those 7-Elevens, pretty much on every corner, And there's another convenience store. I forget the name. There's
Family Mart?
Family Mart and 7-Eleven. The Don Quixote, I think, was open 24/7 as well. So there's some convenience stores that are available in Japan, and they cater to those late night munchies that you get. Some bars and restaurants, bars were open till maybe midnight or 1, but they weren't open till the middle of the night. There wasn't a 24-hour Denny's or Waffle House. So you can hit the convenience store or have some food in your room ready to go, because your stomach's gonna be turned upside down. If you haven't done international travel before, you're gonna be hungry when you didn't think you would be. It's gonna be the middle of the night and you're starving. Have that stuff available, and don't be afraid to kind of scout out before you go to bed where the closest food's gonna be.
That is true. And I will say, in Shibuya, at least, Tokyo, the neighborhood where we stayed, I felt very safe walking around at 3 and 4 in the morning, because that's when we happened to be up, just because of that jet lag. And I felt perfectly safe walking around those streets at all hours of the night, which was a really great thing. You can't say that for everywhere in the world. That being said, we'll also talk a little bit about breakfast.
Yay.
Obviously.
It's about food for me. This is the highlight of the video.
So obviously, breakfast foods are different in Asia than they are in the West, so don't expect a lot of your, French toast and cereal and things like that. You might be in for more seafood and soups and
You
ramens.
can get squid early in the morning. Squid's available.
Things that maybe we wouldn't think about as being a breakfast food.
Yes, ma'am.
I would also say that the breakfast culture in Japan, at least a lot of what we saw, the breakfast restaurants were not open as early as we're accustomed to in the West. For example, our hotel breakfast actually didn't start till 10 a.m. So a little bit different. So if you are looking for food earlier in the day, especially, like you said, if
You
your
can get a full bowl of ramen at 7 if you go to a little cafe, though.
Yes.
Which is weird. You wouldn't expect that. Like, you can get a squid and pork bowl of ramen in the morning. You're not going to find bacon and eggs. So just know that going into it.
Absolutely. Since we're talking about restaurants,
Yes.
a big part of restaurants in the West is, of course, tipping culture. And in Japan, you are not going to find that. There are very few occasions where it's appropriate to tip in Japan. You can find those out if you come across them. You will know what they are. If it just happens to be your taxi driver or the concierge at your hotel, or your wait staff, don't tip them. They don't expect it, they don't want it, and it can even be sort of considered, I don't know if I want to go as far as saying impolite, but a little bit cringy. Like, why are you, I'm just doing my job. A high service is expected as a part of jobs in Japan, and they might kind of side-eye you a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the last thing we were going to talk about were, again,
Masks and COVID.
Yes, I don't want to say that
Can
word
you
too
get
much.
into, what's the restrictions for getting into the country?
So currently, there are none.
Yeah, there were no big restrictions accordingly.
No proof of jabs or anything like that. No mandatory mask. Nothing like that. But I will say, in Asia in general, what we saw, it's much more common to see people wearing masks in public spaces.
Much more socially acceptable.
Just socially accepted.
Recommended in many cases.
Voluntary. If you are like me right now and I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, if I were in a public space in Japan, I would definitely feel like I should be wearing a mask.
If you're gonna cough
I would be side-eyed
and you're not wearing a
if I
mask,
wasn't.
they're gonna look at you funny.
Yeah. So I would say that is, you should probably bring a mask with you to Japan just in case, because if you do find yourself with a little tickle or a sneeze or something like that, that you should definitely be respectful of your neighbors everywhere in the world, but especially in Japan because they are so respectful of you, to make sure that you are masking up.
Another aspect that I would like to point out, just a tidbit, is not only is it customary to be quiet on the metro, but it is a fairly quiet environment. People keep to themselves. We went to McDonald's, 7:30 in the morning. There was a row of businessmen going to work, looked like financial district, very, suits and ties, everybody on their phone. We were there for probably an hour. We were surfing our phones and doing our work. Nobody said anything. It was absolutely silent. You wouldn't have that in the United States. Absolutely silent, and silence is acceptable. And it's also fun to note that it's a polite society.
Yes.
People, when you get on a people mover, stay on the on the left side, because they're the opposite as us.
Yeah.
Stay on the left side when you stand there, and if someone's passing, they will walk faster on the right side. It's if you're in a community and there's walking, stay on the left side. Universally. Also, they're very polite. We got stopped by one of those food sniffing dogs in the airport. They sniffed her luggage, and they said, "Ma'am, can we look in your luggage?" And we're like, "Of course." They opened it up. You had Chex Mix in there
And
that had busted open
from
everywhere.
The pressure. It was awful.
The lady actually came and helped you scoop it up and clean it. She was way too polite, way too nice. In the United States, they'd have been like, "Throw that out," or "That's fine, go through."
Just yelled at you.
She was like, "Oh no, your Chex Mix," and then she's running and getting help and putting it in bags for you and stuff. The culture in general is extremely polite.
Yes.
And that's something to note. Like, if someone's being nice to you, it's not because they're trying to con or scam you. For the most part, they're just a polite group of people. So try to extend that back to them. They keep to themselves, but if they do have to interact with you, very happy, very smiley, just a wonderful group. You're gonna have a great time. And that's the thing.
To add to that,
Yes, ma'am.
They don't love photos. So if you
True.
see a fun Harajuku girl dressed up in the street, maybe she's handing out pamphlets or
Flyers.
Somebody dressed cool and doing fun stuff. Be very respectful. Definitely ask if you want to take a photo, and be willing to accept if the answer is probably no.
Yeah, well, I had two situations like that. One was crossing Shibuya Square, that big intersection. And we get across the street, and there's these Harajuku girls in traditional Japanese garb, very fun, like overly done makeup, and they're handing out flyers to a punk rock concert.
Cool thrasher.
So I asked them, "Can I take a selfie?" And they were like, "No." And they literally covered their face, were like, "No." I was like, "Okay, fair enough." And then also we went to an anime bookstore, and there was a guy in completely white, almost like ninja outfit, who was working there. I don't know how to describe it. It was some kind of anime outfit, right? Is there a better way to describe that? He looked really cool.
He had to have been cosplaying something that I just don't know the reference, but it was definitely something really cool.
And I asked, "Can I take a picture?" And he was like, "Only if you buy something," which is fine. That seems
Totally
fair. But yeah, for whatever reason, I've noticed this with other influencers, and in my time in Japan, you may see something really cool and you want to ask someone, "Hey, can I take a picture of that?" Just stick to the landmarks and sites, because most people don't necessarily want to be in your photo. They're very polite, keep to themselves. Great people, but yeah.
So I have one more topic. Can we talk about before we go?
No, yes. What do you got?
Okay. Coolest thing in Japan. You don't necessarily need to know this before you go, but you'll figure it out.
What is it?
The toilets.
Yeah, the toilets are fantastic.
So the toilets are fantastic. It's true. Everything South Park has told you. It's not a lie.
Yeah.
Even at McDonald's, even at the airport, even everywhere.
Yeah.
So they're incredible. They're heated. They're high tech.
Blow
They have
dryers.
every function that you can possibly imagine, like massage, oscillation, different temperatures. It's incredible.
They get it.
All I'm saying, it's very nice. So that's just a different thing.
It's a nicety.
A nicety. You might want to just take an extra moment, and sometimes, again, having that Google Translate on your phone, because they might not all be in English, is kind of nice to take a little picture and get that translated for you in English, so you know
there'll be an
what
instruction
you're doing.
manual on the wall. It'll be confusing,
so
but
you know what you're doing. Yeah.
All right, folks, that brings us near the end. If you like this video, make sure you click subscribe. We've got plenty of shorter Japan videos. We're going to be going back there and uploading some more long form videos like this, over 30 minutes or so, where we're gonna tour you around, show you the area, but go through our Japan playlist. We've also got Thailand, we've got Cancun, we've got Costa Rica, and Tampa on a Tankful. has become a wildly popular topic. I think people like seeing what's going on in the great state of Florida.
Yeah, we have some more fun Tampa stuff coming up for you guys, and like Adam said, we're going to be going back to Japan, so if you have suggestions for us or tips or things that you would like to see us check out in Japan, let us know so we can make sure we put that on our itinerary.
We should have said this at the beginning. We're going to start giving out prizes and cash here at some point to subscribers, so make sure to click that subscribe button. Leave us a comment. I just appreciate that so much. If there's any questions you have, or if you think, hey, this was the best part of the video or the worst part of the video, leave those comments below. Those make my day. Every time we get a comment, it makes me so happy. Even the bad ones. We usually get pretty good comments, though. We appreciate that.
Don't leave a bad one, please don't. It makes me sad.
But yeah, please click that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate that. The comments are welcome. And then come back this month. For the last 30 days, we've uploaded a video every single day. So there's always new content. Click that notification bell for new stuff. And we've been traveling so much. We've got unlimited. We're gonna do a video pretty soon about tips on how to get free flights in Vegas, how to get free flights to Vegas. We're gonna do some tips on how to get those lay flat seats for next to nothing. So we've got a lot of travel tips coming up, whether you are heading to Japan and taking, say, Zip Air, our recommended airline, or you're taking Southwest Internet locally. We've got you covered with a lot of cool tips, and we've got a lot of on-location, explore the local area videos for you to check out as well.
Absolutely.
All right, did you have any other topics to cover?
I don't think so.
All right, folks. Again, I'm Adam from Elite Demonstrations and World's Greatest Adventures. This is Amy. Thanks for watching, and
Adios, amigos.
adios, amigos.